Hi everyone, this is Penny here from Witch Astrology. I have been doing Chiron reports. Chiron is an asteroid that is referred to as the wounded healer, and it's this kind of like delicate yet beautiful side of you that feels like really hurt and that wants to help other people heal or even avoid pain in the same way that you yourself have felt pain. And in our culture, that's something that's a little more accepted than this concept of Lilith, another asteroid, who's a little bit more of a rebel. And basically part of Lilith's definition is that she is a rejected aspect of our personalities. So I've really enjoyed doing these Chiron reports. They're going great. I didn't have a single one who I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to tell my client this. I don't want to have to say something that I feel like might be mean. I didn't have any of those moments. I felt like I was able to embrace and empower people and, hopefully help them heal from their wounds and help them get on that path that'll make them more whole and complete as a person. But I can't lie, I'm also interested in Lilith as an asteroid. And this affinity, it almost seems kind of forbidden. Because I'm like, okay, well the next asteroid that I would like to do reports for is Lilith. And I'm like trying to think of this from a business perspective, how I'm actually going to keep my clients happy and, have a good healthy business with this. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that, because I feel like, I wrote a Lilith report for myself to play it out and see how it actually works. I'm a good test dummy. It doesn't matter if I hurt my own feelings. I can do that all the time. So it almost feels like I'm tearing someone apart when I start talking about Lilith in their chart, and it seems really harsh. So even though I started working on this months ago, I don't feel like I've been ready to put it out there for the public and just let anyone come in and order a Lilith report. So I do, I can't get my mind off of it though. This is the next service that I want to offer. This is what I've had my mind on. This is what my sights have been on. And I know it might not be that smart from a business perspective, but I really feel like this is what I want to do. So, you can only stop yourself from doing what you want so much until you actually do it. So, I feel like even though I'm not ready to put it on my website and just let anyone order it, any unsuspecting victims order a Lilith report, I do want to start considering it. And basically, I want to be okay, so you want a Lilith report. Do you really want a Lilith report? Do you know what you're getting yourself into? Tell me why you want a Lilith report. And basically, I broke Lilith down a little bit. And I feel like Lilith is her being rebellious and rejected by society. Part of the reason why she's rejected is because she has this strong idea that she deserves something. She's a little bit entitled. This is my claim. This is my area. I'm going to be a little bit egocentric, maybe a little bit narcissistic. Whatever nasty things that you guys can have your judgments on, but this is mine. I deserve this. This is my realm. You cannot mess with this. I will mess with you if you mess with this. And that's kind of the attitude of Lilith. Lilith is not going to let herself be taken advantage of, but she's kind of so aggressive in her refusal to let herself be taken advantage of that sometimes she takes advantage of other people. So that's why it's really it can be a nasty part of your personality that kind of messes with other people and tampers with their well-being. So my Lilith is at 22 degrees Aquarius in the 6th house, and it is square Pluto, trine Nessus, which is the asteroid of abuse, and opposite my sun. And it might be loosely opposite some other things too, but since that's the tightest opposition it has, that's what I was primarily focused on. So I described Lilith as an area of life where people feel self-important, and they are likely to take advantage of other people, often unintentionally, due to their own sort of unspoken ideas of how life should be and what they do or do not deserve. So this concept of deserve can really be kind of a toxic thing. So my description for Lilith in Aquarius, which a lot of people probably have, is that Lilith in Aquarius says, no one will make up the rules for me. I operate by my own rules. I operate by my own standards. I have my own book that I am following. No one else will decide things for me. I cannot stand to conform. And specifically, whatever house you have Lilith in, first I have it in the 6th house, that is the area of life where you cannot stand to conform. So mine is kind of, I can't stand to conform to regular routines and regular responsibilities. That'll just like kill my soul if I have to do that because of my, cocky little Lilith placement. So Lilith in Aquarius has lots of wild energy. Aquarius is a rebellious sign, and Lilith already has this bad rap for being rebellious and for being unconventional. And Lilith in Aquarius feels antsy and restless whenever they try to contain what's inside of them. They feel like it's just going to burst out. So Lilith's opposite sun, which is another aspect I have, is refusal to indulge in one's own ego. So sometimes it's like, okay, is that going to make me feel good about myself? Because as Lilith in Aquarius, I see that feeling good about themselves is what everyone else is doing. So I'm not just going to let myself feel good about myself just because I'm a Leo. So sometimes I'm going to it's another aspect. There are many other reasons why people do this, but it's another aspect of tearing oneself apart and being like, no, not gonna let you feel good about yourself today because there's all this other stuff going on. So Lilith square Pluto is wanting, craving, needing to have influence, specifically over the house where you have your Pluto, because that'll be like your sense of power. And it's like, okay, I can't let other people control me in this way. This is going to be my area of influence, my area of power, even if I have to work for it, even if I have to fight for it. Sometimes I might even have to tear down other people for it. I would think Lilith square Pluto in the third house being the house of communication, often means I have to tear down other people with my words. Because guess what? Better at words, better at communicating than most people are. So if someone tries to insult me and my Lilith square Pluto ass, then I'm like, no honey, no. This is my domain. And then trine Nessus. A trine is, I know it's usually viewed as being positive, but it's more passive than it is positive. So it's something that comes easily to you, something that you don't have to fight for and work for the same way you would with a square. So my Nessus being in the 2nd house, this is an easy ability to abuse resources based on a sense of entitlement. So a lot of people might feel that their physical surroundings are kind of taken advantage of due to my sense of entitlement. I'm sure there's someone out there watching this video who knows me in person who's like, oh my gosh, Penny, yes, I totally felt that way about you. And I freaking resented you for it. Probably didn't cause that big of a problem though. I have good relationships with most people. But yeah, so this is Lilith. This is how Lilith works, and you can see that it really kind of becomes a tearing you apart kind of thing. And getting a Lilith report and finding out about your Lilith placement, if you really want someone to be honest, it's not for the faint of heart. Like, it's not for someone who's going to get offended. Part of the reason why I like it is because I feel like knowing the worst parts of yourself and knowing your worst capacities and your worst potential behaviors, and it helps you understand them, it helps you bring them into the light, and then bring them into the light almost makes them like not as bad anymore, because they're like almost vanquished at that point. It's like, okay, dealt with that, I know it's there, it doesn't have to control me anymore. So that's why I really want to do the Lilith reports. It's almost like the same reason why I want to do the Chiron reports, but it's backwards. I think people will usually refer to this as shadow work, because you're like digging up the darker parts of humanity and the things that people usually avoid and don't want to deal with, and you're bringing them into the light, and helping people in that way. And I feel like that's something that I personally am really big on and I care about, because I'm a Leo in the 12th house. And the 12th house is the house of unseen. The 12th house is where the lights are out. People usually avoid that part of their self-conscious. They see it like when they sleep and things like that, but it's really suppressed parts of humanity. And I'm a Leo, and Leo's like about being bold. Leo's a fire sign. Leo's gonna shine a light on things and make them flamboyant, make them awesome, celebrate them, put them on a dramatic performance about them, but Leo's not gonna hide. Leo can only pretend to be scared for so long before they make things come out into the light. And as a Virgo rising, you know I'm good at finding those things. You know I'm very analytical. So that's why I think I have this affinity with the idea of doing Lilith reports. But I know that it's not for everyone. So I'm not just going to like put it on my website right now. Like, seriously, we need to have a discussion about it if you were thinking about getting a Lilith report. So the kind of topics that I'm planning to cover in this Lilith report are things like the really effed up thing about you. So the thing you do that like really pisses other people off. Okay? And then the conflicts that this may be causing in your life. So for my Lilith, with the aspects that it has, and being in the 6th house in Aquarius, it may really come across to other people like I feel that my time is more valuable than theirs is. And that I procrastinate a lot. I put things off. I put them on the back burner. And often other people will end up like doing them for me, because it just gets to a point where it's like, okay, we can't deal with this anymore. And it's kind of ironic because other things in my chart make me a very hard worker, but this makes me kind of like off the charts, like abnormal when it comes to time management, if that makes sense. It's very complicated. So the ironic part of this is that I actually like doing things for other people with all the Virgo that I have in my chart and all of that stuff. I like to be of service to others. And, right. And I don't want it to go to my head when other people do things for me. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of other people, because I have that opposition to my sun, and I don't want it to be like, whoa, I don't want to get like overwhelmed with my ego over here. But oh my gosh, I'm distracted. And I'm like, not just because of Lilith and Aquarius, but other things in my chart. I'm very ADHD. I have a lot going on. And then other people a lot of times are going to have to help me take care of my normal, basic, everyday shit because of this chaotic energy in my 6th house. So one possible consequence of this is that it can make me less grateful, and I may not even notice all the things that other people do for me, because I'm like so distracted by what is going on. And it feels to them like I don't acknowledge it. But then because I'm not really acknowledging it, then I also don't have to face or confront any feelings or worries about me being egocentric or me being full of myself or dealing with any of that like Sun opposite Lilith stuff that I really don't want to have to deal with. I don't want to have to feel like I'm acting like the queen and other people are my peasants, because the sixth house is kind of like the house of peasant work. It's the house of daily chores. And I'm like, oh, no. Those chores are mine. I'm not the queen. No, I'm not the queen. I'm not going to have other people do those things for me. I'm going to take care of it. But I'm also like too chaotic and scattered to actually take care of it. So intentions and actions end up having a little bit of a disconnect here with my particular Lilith placement. And ways that I use this to my advantage. Lilith being in the sixth house in Aquarius means that how I spend my time is extremely important to me. At times it may even seem like I have the ability to control time. Like I have this power over time. I can manipulate it. I can squeeze extra hours out of the day and get more bang for my buck. And this is also complemented by my high levels of energy, which are based on other indicators in my chart. And an interesting thing about me is I always have this kind of like weird concept of time. Like I subconsciously feel like I would have the ability to time travel if I want to. But honestly, what is time travel? Sometimes time travel is just making time pass. So that's like kind of a very Aquarius way of looking at it. Like, oh, time travel. Of course I believe in that. I'm doing it right now. I am traveling 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds into the future. Here we are, being a total smart ass about it. So the kinds of conflicts that this may be causing is that I don't typically operate on the same schedules as everyone else. And one specific example of that in my life is that I am primarily nocturnal. And it's a little bit disruptive sometimes when you're trying to deal with someone who's nocturnal and you're trying to like schedule an appointment with them at like 10 a.m. and they're like not even awake yet. And then they message you at like 2 a.m. like it's just like normal, like they're just like having lunch or something right now at 2 a.m. Yeah, so not operating at the same schedules as everyone else. Nor do I like to have a predictable schedule, because Aquarius is a sign of unpredictability. So there's a taking and a giving of resources. Because these resources, it being a sixth house thing, it being an earthly thing, that's about how you spend your time. That's about chores that you do. It's about servitude. And Lilith and Aquarius in the sixth is presumably somewhat good at keeping track of who did which chores for who within their own head. And they stay aware and they make sure that they do not take more than they give, because that is important to them, The sixth house is the house of servitude. Aquarius is the water bearer, so they care about humanity. They want to be able to contribute something to humanity. So they are very calculated and, okay, how much should I give you? Is it more or less than what you gave me? Because I want to make sure I'm giving back. I want to make sure I'm taking care of the people around me. So Aquarius in the sixth house is a placement that would care about that. But Lilith kind of has her unconventional ways of doing things. So Lilith feels like she has and should have more control than other people do over this. So I don't really want to take more than I give, but other people do not probably see it this way. Other people probably feel like she's just like out there doing whatever the heck she wants to do. And here we are, the rest of us trying to follow the rules, trying to follow our daily schedules, our daily routines. We're trying to be reliable. We're trying to be responsible. And what the heck is this Lilith and Aquarius person in the sixth house doing? So I end up letting a lot of things go unaccounted for. Like, I'll do work without pay. I'll spend time without you know, giving other people measure or feedback about how I have spent my time. Because despite the fact that Aquarius is an air sign, a lot of times it's so like unconventional and so on its own page and in its own head that it doesn't effectively communicate what is going on with others. So that is one potential downfall of Aquarius. Even though they have like all this stuff going on internally, they don't like let other people know. They don't key other people in. So letting things go unaccounted for and unspoken. So even though I'm someone who does a lot of volunteer work, I do work for free. I've never had a problem with that. I love volunteering. I love helping people. But people, because I'm not communicating, because I'm not keeping things on schedule, because I'm not being conventional in the way that things were set up, basically the system was put in place to a reason, so people can keep track of it. But then, because I'm not keeping track of it, because I'm not being conventional, people end up feeling like they are being taken advantage of, and that their resources and their generosity may be taken advantage of. Even if that's not necessarily the case, even if I have been very humble and I have given them, you know, all my time, all my energy, and not even asked for anything in return. So I might have actually given more than I've taken in certain situations, but that's still not how other people feel, because I'm being like low-key about it. I'm being undefined about it. And usually when you're being sneaky, people assume you're lying or you're being deceptive or you have something to hide. So that is a potential downfall of Lilith in Aquarius in the 6th house. So like the double edge of this sword is that it results in the Lilith and Aquarius person in the 6th house being taken for granted because other people don't know what's really going on, and it just seems to other people like they're being selfish. They're being selfish with their time, they're being selfish with their resources, and they're taking from other people without record. Because when you don't have that expectation for something in return, it becomes this kind of like ironic thing. Like you're somehow doing it for a selfish reason. And basically people like to measure things. People want to all be on the same page and make sure everything was fair and evenly divided. So that's my Lilith report that I did for myself, for anyone who wants an example of that. And you know, maybe you had a similar aspect. Maybe you too have Lilith opposite Sun, or Lilith square Pluto, or Lilith in the 6th house, or Lilith in Aquarius. You know, hopefully there was something here you were able to relate to, but that's a basic idea of what you can expect from a Lilith report. And I went ahead and I publicly tore myself apart and shared some of the worst aspects of my personality for everyone else to see. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think when we bring our demons to light, our demons become not as vicious anymore, because demons thrive in the dark. Demons get nastier and more conniving in the darkness when we don't confront them and we don't face them and we don't deal with them. So that's why I feel like these Lilith reports are important. So go ahead and leave your feedback, leave a comment below. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if this is a service you would be interested in posting. I'm probably, like I said, not just going to put it up on my website for anyone to purchase it, but maybe now that I've made this video, I might like put the video up on my website so that people can consider whether or not this is something that they actually want. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Bye.